All right, let's turn our attentions to Manchester United then. Matthijs De Ligt is in Manchester, apparently.
Yes, he arrived at Carrington this morning. That was after the two clubs agreed a deal worth €45 million with €5 million in add-ons. Personal terms not expected to be a problem on this situation. And Manchester United in the market for a centre-back, a right-sided centre-back. And they've got someone that actually has exchanged hands for a lot of cash. You can see him departing the airport in Germany here, thanks to our pictures from Sky Germany. He actually arrived at Juventus in the summer of 2019 for €75 million.
That's not an overnight bag as well. I mean, it looks like he's here to stay for some time.
He's here for a little while, isn't he? That's not just in and out jobbing.
No.
The following, in 2022, that summer, he went from Juventus to Bayern Munich for €77 million. So you have to look on the surface of this and say, potentially, Manchester United have got a really exciting 25-year-old centre-back that's got great experience in European circles. You can see him arriving here for his medical this morning and just waiting for things to develop. We're waiting for official confirmation that medical's been completed. But he also arrived, Vicky, with a friend, Noussair Mazraoui.
Yes. On the face of it, the De Ligt deal looks a lot more straightforward than the Mazraoui deal because it's a single deal. It is worth €50 million, 45 plus 5. Whereas the Mazraoui deal, we always knew that it was dependent upon Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaving Manchester United for West Ham United. Now, both of these deals are now progressing because Aaron Wan-Bissaka has completed the first part of his medical. He's close to completing his medical full stop during today. There were a few issues late last night about whether this deal was going to happen because there was a bit of a stumbling block with his exit terms at Manchester United, but that all got agreed and he was given permission to do that medical, which he started this morning. Mazraoui, of course, as Mark mentioned there, he is in Manchester as well. He's been having a medical alongside Matthijs De Ligt. That deal is worth €20 million in total. So it's €15 million initial fee plus €5 million in performance-related add-ons. So it looks like, unlike the Chelsea situation, that all the dominoes are falling into place for Manchester United here. Matthijs De Ligt looks like that one will get done. Mazraoui to United from Bayern as well should get done, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka from Manchester United to West Ham United, that one should get done as well. I think we're now just waiting, as Mark mentioned there, the medicals to finish and then those formal announcements to be made. Just a couple of other lines to bring you from each club. An interesting one from Manchester United, because I was told today that the Everton forward, Dominic Calvert-Lewin, he was one of a number of forwards that Manchester United have discussed during this transfer window. As it stands, it should be said here that it's not a priority position as it stands for Manchester United. They are looking, of course, we've been talking about a right-back, a centre-back. They're also looking at central midfield as well, which I think we'll elaborate on in the 7 o'clock show. But also Calvert-Lewin has entered the final year of his Everton contract, so there could be a situation there. United are unlikely to go into the market for another forward player. Remember, they've already brought in Joshua Zirkzee in this transfer window, unless there are sales in that area. So maybe just one to keep an eye on in the last couple of weeks. And a line from West Ham United, we're talking about Aaron Wan-Bissaka and all the other signings that they've made during the week. Some people have said they've won the transfer window, West Ham United. They've made so many good signings. There's a potential departure which has kind of hit the buffers a little bit, and it's Kurt Zouma. We brought you the news late last week that Kurt Zouma was going to be having a medical with the UAE club, Shabab Al Ahly. He had that medical over the weekend, but that medical highlighted a couple of issues. So now West Ham United and Shabab Al Ahly are now in ongoing talks because there's still a willingness from all three parties to get this deal done because the personal terms have been agreed and a mutual termination of Kurt Zouma's contract with West Ham United for the final year, that has been agreed as well. Kurt Zouma, he remains in Dubai, just awaiting developments on what's going to happen next.
So I guess O'Connor, who is just outside the training ground. Vinny, good afternoon to you. This is big business for United. What do we know about the timeline on these particular deals?
Well, we're as far down the line now as talking about the possibility of both players being registered in time for the season opener against Fulham on Friday night. It's been a long time coming, I suppose, in many respects, but United wanting to bolster that back line. And today we know that both medicals are underway because two people carriers with blacked out windows turned up at Carrington just after 9 o'clock this morning, taking both players into the training ground. We couldn't tell exactly who was in which car at the time, but we've have confirmation since then that both players had arrived ready to undergo those medicals. And while there's still a bit of a way to go in many respects in terms of getting those medicals completed, obviously we know that the deals are on the table for both players and agreed with Bayern Munich. So what can we tell you about those deals? Well, De Ligt would be a deal worth up to £42.9 million. That would be 38.6 million plus 4.3 million pounds in add-ons as well. Personal terms not expected to be a problem. We also know about his relationship with Erik Ten Hag stretching back to his time at Ajax. Also, Mazraoui obviously has relationship with Erik Ten Hag going back to their days at Ajax as well. In terms of the deal that's been struck for him, it's worth up to £17.2 million. That's £12.9 million plus performance-related add-ons of £4.3 million as well. Remember, there was a deal agreed with West Ham for Mazraoui earlier this summer, and then it fell apart because West Ham turned their attention elsewhere. Aaron Wan-Bissaka obviously became a target for them, and ironically, of course, it needs Aaron Wan-Bissaka to move to West Ham for the Mazraoui deal to go through. It all looks like that's all progressing well, but as I say, still a little bit of a way to go, but seemingly on course to be registered for those deals to go through by midday on Thursday. And if they are registered by then on Thursday, then they are available, of course, to play against Fulham in that season opener on Friday night.
Well, Vinny, as you mentioned, these players have both been linked to the club for a long time. What will they add to Erik Ten Hag's squad for the upcoming campaign?
Well, I think, first of all, as I mentioned, numbers in that back line. We know the injury problems that Manchester United have had, particularly last season at centre-half and at full-back as well. And on top of that, of course, Lenny Yoro, who signed this summer, picked up that foot injury against Arsenal that's ruled him out for 3 months now. So while he's one for the future, I suppose he was also going to be an option early doors in the season. And someone like De Ligt coming in obviously gives a much more wealth of experience, albeit still at the age of 24. But when you consider that he played 100 games for Ajax by the time he left them at the age of 19. He'd been a captain under Ten Hag there. He'd won the Dutch league title. He captained Ajax to the semi-finals of the Champions League as well. Played 73 times for Bayern Munich, of course, scoring 5 goals in that time, but lost his way in terms of his form somewhat, I suppose. But United are getting a highly motivated individual who wants to rediscover his best form both at club level and, of course, in the international setup as well, to regain that starting berth in the Dutch national side. Erik Ten Hag, we know, is full of praise for him. He said back in 2019 that he believed he could become the number one in his position in Europe as well. So maybe they're coming back together at just the right time, both for Erik Ten Hag's career and for Matthijs De Ligt's career as well. On top of that, of course, Mazraoui, another former Ajax defender. We've seen United's need for a fullback highlighted once again, I think, by the Community Shield, with Palestri playing as a makeshift right back in that second half against Manchester City as well. Mazraoui can actually play as both a right back and a left back. He enjoyed working with Erik Ten Hag first time around. He credits him with improving him tactically, improving him attacking wise as well. He describes him as a top coach who was very important to him as well. I think Ten Hag will also be looking at it and thinking maybe Mazraoui and Antony can rekindle that working relationship down the right-hand side that they had at Ajax, that was so productive at Ajax as well, and maybe it would help Antony rediscover his best form as well. So, on paper, the reasoning behind the two signings looks sound, but United fans will want more than that. They want it to look sound on the pitch.
Vinny, great stuff. Thanks for that.
Casemiro delivered what Manchester United needed, but there's a catch. After a challenging season, Casemiro is eager to return to his best form for Manchester United this year. If there's anyone in the squad with a point to prove, it's him. Following a stellar debut season at Old Trafford in 2022-23, the Brazilian's performance notably declined last season, drawing widespread criticism and even sparking premature retirement talks. Now at 33, United would be wise to consider selling him before the summer transfer window closes. However, with 2 years remaining on his contract, finding a suitable offer seems unlikely. Although United needs to secure a new defensive midfielder before the window shuts in just over 2 weeks, the ideal scenario would be for Casemiro to silence his critics and regain his top form. Casemiro has started all 6 of United's pre-season matches, leading the Reds into their Premier League opener against Fulham on Friday night. He captained the team throughout the pre-season and even scored in a 3-2 victory over Real Betis at Snapdragon Stadium in San Diego. Brought in from Real Madrid 2 years ago to add steel and tenacity to United's midfield, a role he fulfilled brilliantly in his first season, Casemiro has often exceeded expectations offensively. With 12 goals and 9 assists in 84 competitive appearances, he's frequently shown a surprising hunger to push forward and take up advanced positions. His partnership with Ahmad on the edge of the penalty area during the Community Shield match against Manchester City nearly resulted in an early goal for United. Throughout pre-season, Casemiro frequently ventured forward, providing an extra body in the opposition's box. While it's true that pre-season matches aren't played at full intensity, his performances over the last 4 weeks deserve recognition. Yet, it's also clear that he has looked more comfortable advancing upfield than in his defensive duties. A clumsy mistake led to Liverpool's opening goal in United's 3-0 defeat in South Carolina, and he was sloppy in possession against Arsenal in Los Angeles. Despite these concerns, there is still an obvious need for a new defensive midfielder who can cover more ground and shield the back four more effectively. On the other hand, Casemiro's defensive stats from Saturday's Community Shield clash with City were impressive: 7 tackles, the most on the field, and 2 clearances. Offensively, he completed 2 key passes, with only City's Oscar Bob making more, 3. His Wembley performance was encouraging, particularly in attack. Casemiro's experience and tactical awareness still make him a key player, and it would be surprising to see him miss out on a starting spot against Fulham. He's had a full preseason, so he's very fit at the moment, Ten Hag said of Casemiro after the City match. I think as a team, we worked well together, and that makes it easy for Casemiro. It allows him to showcase his skills and highlights his importance to our game and our team. With the pursuit of a new defensive midfielder likely extending into the final days of the transfer window, Casemiro will still be tasked with protecting the back four for now. It's not an ideal situation, given how he struggled with that responsibility last season, but if United can manage possession better than they did previously, the Brazilian's offensive contributions could prove invaluable. While Casemiro's primary role is to defend and maintain midfield stability, his attacking impact shouldn't be overlooked. His forward play has been a standout in recent weeks, and United will be hoping he can carry that momentum into the new season.